Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Morning, Bells Falls, and welcome to a special edition of the feed. Here we are on Monday morning.
It's throwing my little routine off.
I know.
Like
we said, we were just saying we're just usually here on Wednesdays with a lot of coffee and a couple of days under our belt. So give us a break if we're a little rusty today. We're here with Mary Fredette. She's going to be talking with us about, she's a candidate for Village Trustee. She's going to be talking with us about that. First, Marty's going to give us some words on how is this going to work, you know?
So the other reason we're on today is to make sure that we get the word out to everybody about tonight is the village meeting. It's the Bells Falls Village Meeting. It's going to be held at the Opera House like it always has been. It's going to start at 7 p.m. and it's only the village meeting. Sometimes you have the village, well, the town and the school board, and people get confused with that. Yeah. But this is only the village meeting. Again, reminding people that this is the meeting where the village budget is passed. Village budget is not Australian ballot. It is not voted on Tuesday, tomorrow, election day. It's voted on tonight. So if you want to have a say in the village budget, if you have any concerns, if you want to make sure it passes, if you have things you want to talk about, tonight is the night. It's article number 4. The first 3 articles are kind of the housekeeping articles. Article number 4 is voting for the village budget. And then article number 5 is to raise $20,000 to fund repairs and improvements at the fire station to include a repair to the elevator. So those are the two big articles. It shouldn't be a hugely long meeting. I believe there will be social distancing measures in place. I'm sure there'll be social distancing measures in place.
But it's going to be at the Opera House, right?
Yeah, so there's plenty of room.
There's plenty of room. I mean, it's not like people can't spread out.
No, they're based upon previous attendance. There'll be plenty of room.
It seems in the past they've practiced social distancing. It's just
before it was cool.
Even a thing.
Before the cool kids were doing it, and then voting is all day tomorrow. Please make a note. It's not at the Masonic Temple. It is at the fire station from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Same thing. They will have social distancing set up. They will also have a drive-up portion on Tuttle Street, so people can either drive up and drop off their absentee ballots if you got an absentee ballot, or I believe you can get a ballot, fill it out.
Right there and then do it.
So, and I also want to remind everybody, I know time seems weird, it seems like Groundhog Day over and over and over again, but we are at graduation time.
Yeah.
So this is graduation week. The virtual class night will be happening on Wednesday night, June 17th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. You can watch it on Fact TV, which Comcast, new channel for Comcast. It's not channel 8 anymore. It's Comcast 1076. And you can also go to bfuhs.wnesu.org, and you can watch it there. And the same thing for graduation on Thursday night. Graduation starts at 6:30. They're going to be holding it at the football field, but Fact TV is going to be broadcasting it. Again, Comcast 1076. So. Great. Lots of things happening this week. We wanted to get on early and remind you of all those things because it's easy to forget.
Oh, it is, and like you said, it's
Groundhog Day
weird,
effect since March 13th.
Yeah. So, but we want to welcome our guest today is Mary Fredette. She's a Bellows Falls resident. She has thrown her hat in the ring to be a Bellows Falls trustee, and we want to give you guys a chance to meet her today and figure out who she is and where she comes from and what she wants you to know about her candidacy and what she wants for the future of Bellows Falls. Welcome, Mary.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, because I don't think people realize that you're a Bellows Falls native, really.
Yes, I grew up in North Walpole, but both sides of the river were home. Forever. And I started my career at Rockingham Hospital back in the 70s and lived in Bellows Falls off and on for many years. And we had moved south to avoid the winter snow. And in 2012, we decided to come back to see our grandchildren grow up. So as luck would have it, we found a home in Bellows Falls that's only 2 doors down from my daughter and her family.
Oh, wow, nice.
So, yeah, it's great.
And you're retired now and you have some time on your hands?
I am. I'm retired from a lifetime of healthcare and primarily healthcare administration for a number of organizations.
So you were in the organizational side, the budget making side, and the
Yes.
fundraising and all those sorts of things that you do. So does that give you an organizational background, would you say?
It does, and I've, working for boards and serving on, in particular, nonprofit boards over the years have provided, I think they've provided me with a good deal of insight, the need to create a budget that's workable, and then the handoff to those folks that are tasked with administering the budget.
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking a little bit about, so you lived here for most of your life, then you went away and you came back. What changes did you notice when you came back?
I noticed that there's a good deal of, I'm actually quite distressed by the drug trafficking that is visible in the community. This has always been, 91 has always been a main corridor for trafficking, from the 60s on. But now it's visible. It's visible on the street. You see people handing off. You hear folks discussing it, discussing their next deal on the street. And, while we're never going to quell the entire traffic, we could at least impede it a little bit, and make return this community to somewhere where people want to be. We're one of the fastest aging states in the nation, and we've got to prepare for that large group of people, especially in Windham County. Last I knew, we were fastest aging in the country. So, we have to be mindful of that.
So, how do you see an approach to the problem of drugs on the street then? Do you see it as policing or as community justice or recovery models? Or, there's many ways of approaching that, but what would be and maybe you have many ways of approaching it, but what would be your strategy?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think our region has the tools, but we have to do it together. We can't do it as individual organizations or individual communities or individual people. We have to work together to get to a resolution. And I know that there's been a good deal of effort put into that. I'm familiar with HCRS and their workings and the retreat and those kind of organizations, but it's become a much broader issue. It's not just about dealing with recovery and addiction. That is beyond the ages. So I can start very early in a person's life, and especially when you get into a large senior population, you see that sometimes reemerge again with pharmaceuticals. So it's very broad, and it takes a very broad view.
So what made you want to throw your hat in the ring? It's for lack of a better way to put it, it's been kind of controversial. Both boards, both the trustee board and the select board, have had some ups and some downs, and it seems like I'm not sure where we're at right now, but what made you decide, ooh, this would be a fun thing to do?
Well, I have to think harder about the fun thing.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was being a
I
bit,
think it was
a
a
bit
little
sarcastic there.
sarcasm
Yeah,
there.
just a little bit.
But I was caregiver for my husband for 6 years, and he recently passed away. And we both have a passion for this community. He was not as excited about moving to Bellows Falls as I was, but he grew to love the community as much. So it's the old put up or shut up kind of thing. If you want to help and you want to affect change, you have to give. Mm-hmm. And now I have time to give. I think I have, I bring experience to the table on a number of levels, and it's just time. I'm excited that there were 7 people running this time, because it gives the voters choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But was there a triggering event? I guess maybe was it COVID-19 and sitting at home and thinking about these things, or was it something that happened at the national level, or is it something that happened locally? I mean, seems to be a time of people being energized to create change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I truly, I watch what's happening in town, and there's some really good things happening. I see homes that have been left to decay are now being, renovated, and, they become a viable part of the community instead of a burden. So I see those kinds of things happening. One of the challenges for a lot of industry, and the state of Vermont in particular, is that people grow up here and then they leave, and they don't always come back. So, I'm really energized to see young folks and see them interested in staying in the community and want to help provide an environment where that interest continues. I have an 18-year-old who's graduating from high school this year, and so we have weathered, COVID fortunately together, and I'm excited that some of the kids are really interested in staying here, but we have to create a community where they can do that. Housing has to be affordable. There has to be housing. There have to be jobs. So there's, but it is exciting. It's exciting to participate in that kind of initiative.
What are your, I'm going to guess that one of the tasks of both the select board and the trustees when you first become a new board is going to be looking into a new town manager or options for new town manager. What are your thoughts on how that should all work?
I'm a good bit concerned at the number of managers that the town has had over the last 10 years. And, with being on the outside looking in, you're reliant on media to provide the story. And, to get a clear vision, I believe you have to be inside. I believe that people they intend to do the best job they can. It's not always something that not every action is something that everyone likes. Mm-hmm. But I don't know for sure. I think that the boards need to make a decision about whether they are governance or working. because having a manager requires, number one, that the boards are, their primary responsibility is fiduciary, and that they are providing the best budget that is approved by the town and the residents, but then that they hand the budget off to a person that they trust is going to execute it appropriately, and provide that person with the tools and the support to help them be successful in the position. I don't know what the plans are at the moment for securing a new town manager, but I would hope that it will be a process by which the folks are vetted well, and that there's a recommendation to the board for, and I guess a clear representation of their skills that they bring to the table and their passion for the community.
That's excellent. Yes, I agree. I mean, I think you said it better than almost anyone I've heard it, is we see what we see on the media, but in order to really truly understand, I think you have to be on the inside. And like you, I try to reserve judgment, but it appears that just because of the sheer number of managers we've had, that maybe it's not the manager's problem, maybe it's the system's problem. And I don't, and I'm trying not to judge, but thank you for saying that so well.
Yeah, and we can't, we've been around, it's not our first rodeo. We've been around a time or two. So, over, our experience and aging, in fact, gives you a much broader perspective. It's much more difficult to sit back and take it all in and make an informed decision than it is to shake a finger and say you're wrong.
Yes.
So,
I totally agree with that. And we have a lot of finger shakers, and
We do, and I think what that just made me think of is one of the points that was made by one of the other candidates running is in kind of a similar situation. In fact, two of the candidates we've spoken to is that you had a connection to this town, you moved away, and you came back. And when you're coming back, you're bringing experience, the experiences of being other places and how other, things are going, and a different set of eyes. And I think that's should almost be a universal campaign for all of the folks that are trying to do this, is you're bringing a fresh set of eyes to that potentially when you're on the inside, you kind of lose your focus. You lose that
perspective.
Perspective.
You're
there you
in
go.
the
That's the word I
middle
was
of-
looking for. Yeah.
It's harder to see what's happening sometimes when you're right in the middle of it. But then, like you say, it's hard for the outside people to understand, and without all of the information that the people on the inside have.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
well,
So-
and it's the basis. The basis is communication.
Yes.
Clearly communicating what your intentions are, but also clearly communicating, especially from a town manager perspective, is clearly communicating expectations. If you've supervised large or small groups of people, that the onus rests with the leader. It's like if you're not a good leader, then you're not going to have a good staff. And I think that's the primary responsibility of the leaders to communicate those expectations.
Right. Excellent. Back to something you mentioned earlier, is you talked about keeping or attracting younger people to the town, which I think is a key element also, because it's just, we can't keep relying on the people who are now 65, 70, 75. It's just not sustainable. And we don't have, both Marty and I have been in service organizations where it's very difficult to attract people
Yes.
of younger ages to serve. And what would you say would be strategies or tactics that the town or the village could use to bring people or to make it more attractive?
Well, I think, I worked a number of years with Deerfield Valley, to, in particular, Wilmington, looking at aging in place models. And I think that's a really good place to start, because you have seniors, and I remember the first community meeting that we had. This woman stood up and she said, "Well, who's going to put my light bulb in? I can't get on a ladder." And that's a really good example of an opportunity for a younger person. I think that the trades, I'm very excited by the high schools, with the high schools program with the tech schools.
Mm-hmm.
To do these internships is a fabulous idea, because that's those are obvious needs in the community. But creating a sustainable model for all ages is the place to start, and there's no better place to start than the fastest aging county in the country. So we looked at things like we worked with AARP and had them do an evaluation of the streets, looked at entrances to stores, looked at senior housing. One of the interesting things that came out of it was, I'm trying to think of their name now, this architectural firm in Wilmington developed these single room additions that attach to the side of your home, and they're fully handicap accessible. And they fit right on the door. They've got full bath, walk-in shower, bedroom, track lifts that take them all over this one bedroom unit, at the same time enjoying their personal community, whether it be family or someone else.
That's a great idea, yeah.
Nice. So we're down to that.
So I guess we're just about out of time. We have about 3 minutes left. Is there something that special message or anything that we haven't covered that you would like to make sure that we get to before we run out of time?
I think we've covered a lot. I am just interested in helping wherever I can. I have the time to commit, and I'm really good at follow through.
That's fantastic. Mary Fredette, I just want to make sure everybody has the name,
Yes.
so that they understand that if you've liked what Mary has said and what you are interested in following up on this, Mary Fredette her name will be on the ballot with 7 other people in the election tomorrow. I want to thank you for coming on and being willing to step forward, because I know it's a difficult time, and it is going to be fraught with all sorts of incredibly difficult decisions to make between the town manager and the police chief and the policing model and budgets and all of these things that are coming up now. So I want to thank you again for coming on.
Thank you. It's exciting.
Okay.
And fun, right? Because that's what you're looking for, fun.
Oh, yes.
The fun
yes.
part. We have to keep putting the fun part in.
Keep it fun. That's what we try to do. So I think,
Yes.
is that it for today?
I think we're good. Just reminding everybody again that voting is tomorrow.
Yeah,
you're
voting
seeing
is
this,
tomorrow.
So for the date, in case you forget, tomorrow's the 17th, 16th,
Yes.
16th.
Well, we've already forgot. Today's the 15th.
16th.
Tomorrow's the 16th.
I know, we're so confused because it's Monday. So June 16th is the voting at the fire station from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. People vote. Get out and vote. Like, there's no excuse. If you want to see a change, if you are...
Or if you want it the same,
Your voice,
vote.
Your voice counts. All
Either way.
votes count.
Exactly. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. This is The Feed, Mike and Marty, and thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.